I don't know if I should share this next principle.
What is the next?
The next principle is the principle of time travel. But it's time. Time is very important. Um, time travel. Okay, this is just a 1 minute principle, right? Which I think is interesting. It's a thought. It's a thought. It's a thinking game. Time travel is possible. Time travel. Time travel is possible because we all do it all the time. We are all traveling through time. Not only is time travel possible, but you can change the past.
The past.
You can change the past. When you understand that your future becomes your past. Your future becomes your past. Everything that is in the future will one day be in the past.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So tomorrow will become yesterday.
Okay.
Tomorrow will become yesterday. And when you understand you can change anything today that makes anything change tomorrow, and tomorrow will become yesterday, you can change anything in the past. By changing something now, you automatically change the past. By changing something now, so time travel is actually possible consistently on a daily basis for every person. Because you can change anything today that will change anything tomorrow, and I guarantee you that future will become the past. So you can change anything in your past as long as you understand that tomorrow becomes yesterday. There. So this, you don't need a time machine because we're living in the time machine, which is the universe. And this is powerful when we're communicating to children, I think, because children feel sometimes that the world is very big and it's all organized and it's full of big people who do big things, and there are big buildings and big cars and big events and big names and big games. And they feel a little bit powerless. But if you understand that you can time travel, then you can change anything. The past is whatever you want it to be, because tomorrow is whatever you choose. So if you want something to be in the past, all you have to do is put it in tomorrow and it becomes the past instantly. Almost instantly. So there's no reason to regret anything, because all you have is the choices that you make. It's up to you. It's powerful. It's a very powerful understanding. Think about all the science fiction films where people go back in time and they're like, don't change anything. You change one thing.
Change everything.
Yeah, you change one thing. You talk to one person. You wear a different shirt. You walk down a different road. You just one thing, and then you don't get born.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You change one thing. Well, that's the analogy of this moment in time. That's the power of this moment in time. The power of this moment in time is anybody can change any one thing, and it will change everything. People think they're powerless. They're not. They're powerful. They're powerful. So it's choice. There's a difference. But you talked about in the test, the IQ test. You said that you forgot to go back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you forgot. Now, there's a difference between forgetting and choosing not to remember. The result is the same, but one is powered by a choice and the other is
Mm-hmm.
not. When you choose not to remember, you control the
Mm-hmm.
situation. The
Yes.
result is the same, but the choice makes the difference. The choice is more important than the result. The result doesn't matter. The ability to choose matters. That you failed the test doesn't matter. The choices you made before that matter. Your choice to study or not to study. Your choice to give time to something or not give. That's what matters, not the result. Result doesn't matter. What's the result of life? Death. It doesn't fucking matter. You're dead. Okay? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. We all read things. You said you didn't read the question correctly.
Mm-hmm.
Welcome to life. Right. Look, I said this to my son at the weekend. It was funny. I said, I have never read the instructions for anything in my life. Now, this is not an intelligent decision, okay? It's not an intelligent decision, because I told this to my son said, "Where are the instructions?" And there are no instructions. I don't read the instructions anyway. My son's like, "How do you know anything?" Well, I press the buttons, and
Yes.
which, if you have a computer at home, that may be a good way to do it. If you work in a nuclear power station, it's right. It's not an intelligent way to organize that kind of system. But the thing is, with life, the instructions are everywhere. The answers are everywhere. The information is everywhere. But we choose to not see it a lot of the time. Or we don't read closely. We don't read carefully. We don't read correctly. Vote for me!
Mm.
The truth is, you don't know anything about me, but I've got a nice smile. Da, da, da. Yeah, we're tricked by not reading things correctly. We don't read carefully enough the things that happen to us. I don't know what we're talking about. Does it make sense? Does that make sense to you? Is that logical? What are your thoughts?
Yes, of course.
Yeah, it's the negative side of IQ tests are that it's relative to where you are. It's relative to where you are. For example, if you live in Tibet and you are a goat farmer and you don't speak English and you take a Slovak IQ test,
Mm.
you will score 0.
Mm.
That does not mean that you are not intelligent. It just means that you don't understand the cultural references. Your life language, your language of life is different. And if you take somebody in a Slovak school who gets a perfect IQ score test and you put them in Tibet, maybe they will die because they don't know how to farm, they don't know where to get their food. So the IQ test is very much relevant to where you are because a lot of the information is of cultural relevance.
Mm.
So, and what does that mean? That means that your success in life is not determined by your results on an IQ test,
Of course not.
because life is a little bit more complicated than that. Yeah. For example, you can be, our paths, our road in life is dictated by more elements than IQ. If you are really fat and you have a perfect IQ test, you will not be on the front page of a beauty magazine, right? It doesn't matter how perfect your IQ score is.
Mm.
or a health and you won't be on the front page of a health and fitness magazine. Okay. You might be on the front page of, I don't know, Fat is Beautiful magazine. Okay. Right. And that's cool. Right. That's fine. But you won't be on the front page of Women's Health magazine,
Mm,
even though your IQ, even though you're the most intelligent person in the world, you won't
mm,
be there because life is determined by other factors in other situations. You won't, you might have the greatest IQ in the world, but you won't play basketball because you're fat, right?
mm,
So life is determined by, and the question is, would you be fat if you had that IQ score? I don't know. And
mm.
that's high IQ. Sorry, high IQ is also related to depression. High IQ, high intelligence
Mhm,
is related to depression, sad and negative uh, personal reflection and feelings, because high IQ people don't have many friends. Because high IQ people need high IQ conversation.
mm,
And there's, most people are average. Most people are in the middle.
mhm,
There's low IQ, and then there's a big group in the middle, and then high IQ is a small group of people. The high IQ, very intelligent people are very often very depressed and very sad because they don't have people to communicate with about high IQ topics. Can you talk about the history of art with your friends?
mm,
Can you talk about the history of literature with your friends? Can you talk intelligently about you know, political structures, international politics? Can you talk about micro and macroeconomics intellectually with your friends? I mean, it's hard. It's hard. These are
mhm,
these are difficult topics, and very often high IQ people don't have many friends because there's not many people in that group, and to communicate with people who have lower IQ is just not interesting.
mm,
The higher IQ understands how to do it, but there's just no benefit, right? Um, if an intelligent person well, talks to a stupid person, there's only one dynamic that can happen. The intelligent person must come down to the level of the stupid person.
mhm, mm.
The stupid
Right.
person cannot rise to the level of the intelligent person. And so this is psychologically very difficult for intelligent people because you always have to come down to this level. So there's a lot of people who commit suicide and kill themselves are highly intelligent people.
I'm reading a book about genetic, about one professor who is he's very intelligent.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, is it fact or fiction? What's
It's fiction.
it's fiction?
It's fiction.
But maybe it's fiction with fact inside.
Maybe I don't know. I don't know this author who who he really is.
Mhm.
So
But that's what great fiction is.
mm,
Great fiction is fact.
mhm,
That's what great fiction is. But that's why it's great because it has real people with real problems in the story. That's why the classic English novels by Charles Dickens or Jane Austen
mm,
were great because it was the truth. It was fiction, but it was based on
based on
reality. It was based on real people. Um, yeah. I have had a lot of problems trying to get my books published physically because people don't want to publish fact, they want to publish fiction. And the the best way to influence people is to publish fiction with fact in it. That's the best way to influence people. If you classic examples of this are Michael Crichton, the writer of Jurassic Park,
Yes.
and various other books with similar scientific topics. His books were facts in fiction. His books were facts in fiction, yeah. Genetics, he dealt with the genetics question in his books, yeah. I mean, the Jurassic Park is a genetics question. It's a bioethics question as well. And there was another writer that Tom Clancy. He wrote about government, politics, military topics. He was one of the biggest writers in the world on that topic. If you look at a lot of
What was
modern
the name? Sorry.
Tom Clancy. I believe he died last year, but he wrote a lot of books on politics and international espionage, and they were basically based on true stories. But or if you take English writers like Jeffrey Archer, I mean, he writes political stories because he was a politician, and he writes about what actually happened. So there's a lot of fact in fiction stories, and it's a really difficult topic. I mean, most books are not written for intellectual people because intellectual people are usually busy, right, doing things. A lot of modern books, really big, really thick, yeah. But if you open up the book, they've got big letters, and you know exactly what I'm talking about, right?
Yes.
And there's 7 or 8 words in each line. Well, reading in the Latin language, the root of the word child, free, and read is the same. Libre means freedom, child, and book.
Libre is
Freedom. Freedom, as in
Mm-hmm.
libre.
Yes.
Okay, as in liberté. Libre, as in freedom.
Svoboda.
It also means child. It was used in Latin to mean child or young person. And it also means book, as in library. Yeah. This is from the Latin. It was known in history that young people who read a lot were free. Young people who read a lot were free. It was the same thing. It's the same concept. And it is still true today, unfortunately, in a lot of modern media. I did a calculation on Friday with a client about how much text is in a film. Yeah, I did a calculation with a client. We were talking about the content of films. Yeah. Now, when you understand text and dialogue and cinematography, and you take a film that's 90 minutes or 1 hour, how much written text is in that film? What is the script? How long is the script? You know how long the script is for a whole film? The whole script is 3.5 pages. Sometimes for the average film. Yeah. Yeah, we calculated it together. We calculate. Okay.
With
Okay.
dialogues.
Yes. Yeah. With everything. 3.5 pages. 3.5 pages. That's what you get from a film. 3.5 pages.
Mhm.
Now think about what you could read in an hour and a half, 2 hours. You could read 30, 50, maybe more pages.
Mhm.
And you tell me that films are not making the kids stupid, right?
Mm.
Now, there's an intellectual aspect to cinematography and filming that we all understand. You know, the art is beautiful.
Mhm.
That's why we want to experience it. But 3.5 pages, really? Can you tell a life story in 3.5 pages? And what
Mhm.
we were talking about Bohemian Rhapsody film,
Mhm.
the bio picture of Freddie Mercury, yeah.
Mhm.
And we were talking about the life story. How do you get the life story into into uh,
One movie, one film.
into one
Mhm.
movie? How do you get the life story of Freddie Mercury in 3.5 pages? Really? How do you get the life story? You can't get anything in 3.5 pages. Nothing. It's not possible. And we know this because it takes like I work with dialogues on the internet, so it takes 5 lines to read 5 lines, 5 full lines takes more than a minute. Okay, to read 5 full lines takes more than a minute. So, one page will be 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. So you get maybe 30. I don't know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7, I don't know. Maybe you'll get 7 minutes on one page, maybe 8, right? 8, 16, 24. You got if half the film is cinematography, and then you got the songs. You got the songs, right? And then you've got the